Would you like the physical answer, the spiritual, or the soulful explanation to my why behind this course? You can guess which one I'm going to give you. When I was little, I remember lying down and looking up at the beautiful stars. And not the ones in the sky, but they were still shiny, glowing ones. They were glued to the bedroom ceiling I used to rest in. I would have daily nap time in between my day of being homeschooled, and this was a routine imparted by my caregivers. So I found it interesting in my formative years to have heard a speaker say, "You can't build your dreams lying down." Well, that's poignant to me because back then I had no wish to go to sleep. And ironically, this course will aid you to awaken dormant parts to you, your true purpose and mission in life. And my wish is for you to understand how alchemizing your trauma is possible. By returning to self, it will truly be magical for you. And I want you to believe in mysticism and realize miracles are happening for you every single day. Why? Because we're constantly manifesting. That's how energy works. What would it look like if you realized you can rest from the struggle of fighting the darkness? But within the rest, you can be shown how you can fly. You see, I had too much energy as a child. I wanted to play and explore, and that was my true home school. So what does a child do when she is sent to a room? I use my imagination to entertain my world. Well, you know this is the seat of manifestation, right? To visualize and act out make-believe as if it was reality. And I literally reached for the stars one day. I was simply curious and also really quite bored. So of course, back then, at my tender age, I held no concept of what reaching for the stars could metaphorically mean. I just needed something to do, and it was quite literal and physical. But in trauma work, it said that we act out what we can't put into words. Well, here I was, embodying a concept that in my adult years I would grow to assign meaning to. So here I am, age 7, and yes, I know that's crazy. I'm lulled to surrender or being taught to rest. I didn't know what madness it was, but they say you do have to be a little crazy. I'm there balancing on a bunk bed or something. That part of the memory isn't clear to me. But what is holding a bunch of stars in my little hands. And I felt so accomplished and special, being able to capture such beauty. And this feels so significant because I'd later shared these stars with the kids I was brought up with. You'll have to watch my next video for more context on my background. But the sharing of my gifts caused the children to question my motives. You can see where I'm going with this, because this course, I really want to encourage you to share your talents, your skills, your unique specialness. But here's the important bit. As long as you are authentic, that's being different, by the way, there will be others who will question what you showcase. So these children, they had a problem with me breaking the rules, and I broke a real sweat back then. You know, the times that really would just keep you up at night. And I just had the fear of God in me, as they say. The panic was unbearable. And I imagined me being told off from one of those elders of how disobedient and how I vandalized or stole that wasn't mine. And the other children conveyed their concern on me acting so unruly and said they would have to report back on what I had done. Well, what was going on in my head? I remember thinking this, and that's just it. I wasn't It was just deep into exploration. I was not in my head at all, more in my heart. And in this course, you'll have access to my activating the heart chakra meditation. And you'll learn the importance of coming away from fear-based thoughts. As a child, I was just metaphorically surrounding myself with the infinite, those glowing, shining stars. But as I've learned through my spiritual counselling practice, the moment you extend yourself to expand, a healing adjustment always occurs. Your vessel needs to be strong enough to contain what you've called in. And we used to call it a healing crisis back when I studied Reiki energy. Again, there's a spiritual, soulful, and psychological perspective as to why with growth comes friction. But let me end on the most magnificent bit to my story. I prayed. I asked Source for forgiveness for being so selfish in my disobedience. To make it worse, I also lied. I begged the children not to tell and told them there was a water leak in the ceiling. The stars had peeled off and I was there cleaning up the mess. How obscure and far-fetched. I had to do something, and a little voice inside me spoke to the feeling I had around protecting what is innocent. I didn't know why, but I just did it. I told a lie. And often in life, we will get a sense to do something and it won't make sense. It may feel totally random and completely crazy, and you will just have to trust the feeling and do it anyway. I'm now sharing with you my first significant memory of a miracle from fulfilling work from Source. The next day, after my prayer, the house was found with bad condensation on the ceiling, and I don't think the children ever did say anything, and I was left understanding that you have to ask for things in life. It's the quality of the prayer, aka manifestation, that really makes a difference. You have to ask for things that align to your true self, not for aspects that are based on building a false identity. And I promised I would serve and be loyal to his work if he freed me from punishment. And I realised back then that the universe really does have my back, that we are born pure and Source's love and reaching for the stars must be God's work. How breathtaking is that? It's only after the last year that I have fully understood the power of that singular childhood experience. Within the beauty, I've learnt to offer who I am publicly, but to keep a little something back for myself, or certainly offer it in the right context. And what do I mean by this? I'll go on to explain more of this concept in the course. It's the idea of giving from an overflow. And lastly, over time, which is wisdom, I've realised that we all lie, and we lie to filter and protect who we really are. We lie to protect ourselves, but we also lie because we feel we're protecting others. And there is an art to lying and holding back. You don't want to be dishonest or disingenuous, and these lies will come back on you in some kind of way. Your body will know and show you that this is of not being true. But we do want to understand how to hold on to our learning, hold on to the sharing as earned, and in some cases, even ask for permission before offering. And as a therapist, offering a high relational depth, I understand too much psych is intimidating to those who aren't ready. And this is a lesson I've had to learn time and time again. Too much giving of self comes from a place of coming away from your lane. And we want to be modest whilst being bold. And this is the act of simply being. And I will talk more about this in another module. So lastly, I hope that by the end of this course, you will become your own therapist and be able to hand over what you've learned to someone else, creating a ripple effect from this experience. So I hope that this course and you will continue to do great things.